Welcome to the Howdy Houston podcast. My name is Chris McDaniel, and we're here with a local Houston talent. You've heard him live on the Rod Ryan Morning Show. You've seen him live at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. 2017 Coast to Coast Artist Showcase finalist, and coming soon to a venue near you. We're here with live looping artist Doug Westcott. Doug, how are you doing, sir?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. I'm glad I could join you today.
Well, I'm glad you're able to make it. The part of my kind of big picture within my world is I want to both interview small business owners, but I'm also really interested in the local Houston artist scene, the talent, whether that's through music, through that's artist scene. My stepdaughter's really big in the artist community. And so, my big picture with Howdy Houston is to interview, local talent that's growing here, so that we can kind of get to know those individuals versus going through, especially if we do private parties or events, getting to know them so that we aren't going through large national change. We're investing into our local talent. So with that being said, I'd like to kind of get to know your background, your connection with Houston. Did you grow up in Houston?
No, actually, I grew up in Willis. I don't tell a lot of people that, but I'm not too proud of that. But it's not as bad. But yeah, I grew up in Willis, and then I kept moving further south, and moved to Conroe, stayed there for a while, moved to the Woodlands, then to Spring. Now I'm in Katy.
Yeah, man, the Willis, Conroe area, all that stuff is the outskirts, the greater Houston outskirts are getting further and further away. I think Conroe is on pace to reach a population that's going to mimic the Woodlands here in the next 5 to 10 years. It's getting pretty huge.
Yeah, a lot of people.
So you grew up in Willis, and then you kind of made your way south here. So your kind of area is kind of like the Conroe area currently.
Currently, no, I'm in Katy now.
Katy, okay,
Katy,
gotcha.
yeah.
And so,
go ahead.
go
Oh,
ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was going to say, when I quit my job and moved out to Katy, started doing music full time, and Katy's where I'm at now.
Are those the tours that you have, those spots that you have listed online? Those are the kind of the bar area scene out there in Katy, or is that kind of all around Houston area?
That's all around Houston. I try not to play in just one part. I try to play as many different parts as I can so that I can spread it out, because I have fans all over Houston, all over Katy, all over Conroe. So I'd like to at least hit one spot, and then go to the next spot. So that way everybody can, that way I don't get oversaturated in one area.
Tell us, so like most professional musicians I talk to, they start kind of like in an early age. What's kind of been your growth, your evolution? Tell us maybe a little bit about those early days.
First band I got a guitar when I was, I think, 10. First band I started was when I was 13. We were in a Blink-182 cover band, me and some neighborhood kids, and on my 14th birthday was the first show I ever played. And I was in different bands, playing drums in a band, lead singing in a band, playing guitar in a band, all the way up to senior year in high school. But the problem was, there was always like, one person in the band who had a drug problem, or one person in the band that, had a girlfriend that wouldn't let him do anything, or there was always one person that was the downfall of it. And then, so I took a break. And, I met a girl, and we lived together, and that was the main focus. And then the first day that Ed Sheeran premiered on American radio, I remember, I'll never forget, I was a pool cleaner back then, and I heard this on the radio with this new guy from London who's a live looper. That was the first time I ever heard the word live looper. And I listened to his song, The 18, and it was edgy lyrics. And I love edgy lyrics. That's things that make people go, whoa, what did he say? Like, I love that. So I looked him up, and when I got home and I seen him do a performance of a song he does called You Need Me, I Don't Need You. And it was just him, but it sounded like a full band because of his looper. And I was like, that's what I want to do. That way I don't have that one person in the band that's the downfall. It's all up to me. And if I put it all on me, I know that I'll be able to to do it. I had the discipline in order to do that. So my girlfriend at the time bought me a looper. And then I just went in my room, locked the door for 5 years, said no to all my friends, and just played until I got it down, And then once I got it down, I started playing shows as a solo artist. And then I just never stopped. And now we're here. I've been doing solo for, I want to say 8 years, maybe 9 now. But yeah, every year it seems like to get more shows or more music released. It's always progressing somewhere. It's never what you think. As a musician, you always think, oh yeah, this next show is the one. This is what's going to make it, And then you do that show and you're right back where you started. So I don't feel like there's a destination with it. I just feel like it's all about the journey.
Yeah, man, I can imagine that's so I'm a sales professional. And so you have to kind of have a thick skin long term to really make it. And I would imagine that's kind of a similar mindset that you have to have as a musician, probably even more so. Playing a large group one day and then maybe playing a smaller group another day, and then getting enough time to where you can get some consistency. How did you? So did you? Your evolution into the looping, that was mainly kind of a thing that you decided because you couldn't find consistent talent to build around you. Like when you saw that, you saw like an immediate thing to where you can be 100% in control of your artistic vision. And also I would imagine it's pretty, if you need to make a schedule on Saturday, versus like say managing 3 other people with you, I would say that you have a little bit more nimble operation going on there.
Right. Yeah. When I it's easier to schedule rehearsal, a whole lot easier. So I could just move it. It's just me. It's not that I didn't want the input from other people for the musicality or for the artistic creativity, but I grew up in martial arts. My whole life I was in martial arts from the time I was 3 all the way up to 28 or even 30 actually. And that's what taught me the discipline. So I knew that if it was up to me, I'd be able to keep that discipline, to keep practicing by myself, to have that drive, because I knew I had it. I didn't have to search for other people who had the same drive as me. So it just made it kind of simpler. And then when I started doing it for so long, and then people came up to me and was like, hey man, you need a band. Everybody tells me that all the time. You need a band. You got to get a band behind you. You'll play these bigger shows. And I haven't had a band behind me in forever, and I'm still playing bigger shows. So it was almost like no, I don't need a band. Like, watch what I'm going to do. Now some shows, like you were saying, some shows are, 300, 400 people. And then some shows you're playing to 5, and you never know when it's going to be like that. And when it was first like that, I used to get disappointed. When I think, oh, this is going to be a huge show. And I'd get to the show and there'd be 5 people there, and it would affect my performance. It'd affect my mental. And then there was a turning point where it just switched, where it was like, it doesn't matter what the crowd looks like or how many people are there. The only thing that matters is that I perform the best that I can. So now, whether there's 300 people or whether there's 5 people, as long as I play good and I sing good, then I'm completely happy. And the feeling of playing a great show and getting off stage, there's an adrenaline rush when you get off stage. The feeling of that feeling, I haven't found anything that comes even close to that out of life. That's the top feeling that I've experienced.
So I think I know the answer to this. Ed Sheeran versus Mark Rebelay. Who's the best looper out there right now?
Ed is for sure. Now Mark has a comical thing that he does that I do watch some of his stuff, and it's it's pretty cool. But the most people don't even know how intricate Ed's looping is. And I didn't even know until I started looping. And once I started looping, I would watch shows, live shows of him on YouTube to see how he did it. And there's shows that he messes up while he's looping, and he'll delete the loop and re-record it while he's singing a verse that he never really loops and sings that particular verse at the same time. So he was messing up, deleting it, and rebuilding it during a different part of the song that he's not used to doing. And that's how I knew. I was like, whoa, I you couldn't figure that out until you start looping, and then you understand like, wow, he's doing a lot more than it looks like. So in my opinion, yeah, Ed's definitely the best looper. Nowadays he has, I mean, he's playing stadiums now, so he has. I'm sure he has some kind of help. Yes, some backstage that can manipulate the system if something happens, but he may not be. He may be doing it, just the way that he was doing it at the beginning. I just don't see that because of how big of the shows are. There's stadiums. You don't want to mess up at a stadium show. But in my opinion, yeah, he's definitely the best looper.
Yeah, I just saw, I think, a post that you made where he was in front. He must have been in front of an audience of like 25,000. I'll tell you this: I had me and my wife love Ed Sheeran. We actually had his I think "Perfect" for our wedding song, and had no idea he was a looper until I started watching some of your stuff and reading about it. I always thought he was like maybe like an American Idol finalist or something like that carried over. Never got into the history. But it's very interesting to see, especially that clip that you shared, him going through that process. It's a process that you go through initially. And that's the only thing that I was kind of curious about is, band can come out and just hit you right away. You have to kind of go through an explanation of what's about to happen.
Right.
In certain crowds, I'm curious, especially these bar crowds. Do you have, during that like startup process, do you ever have like some, get back and forth with the crowds while you're getting everything prepared and they're kind of learning what's going on?
It depends. I don't have it as much anymore because I'll do an explanation, like Ed did in the clip, so that they can be a part of the process, so they can actually see the creation level. And then once the creation level is finished, I try to keep it under 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then the song actually starts. But if you let them in on that creative process to understand, some people say, oh man, I love, watching you build the whole song. That's the answer I get the most. Every once in a while, I'll get somebody that says, yeah, I just wish you would start singing faster. And I'm like, okay, well, that's 1 out of every 10. So, I mean, the only way I can do that is if I pre-recorded something onto the pedal. And in my opinion, that's cheating. Yeah, I can't call myself a live looper if I'm pre-recording something onto the pedal. So, I don't want to do that. So it's about 1 out of every 10 that wants me to sing quicker, get to the point quicker. All the other 10 say that it's like watching a band, but it's also like watching a composer, to compose it first and then sing. So the overall answer I get is that they love watching it build and they love watching it. It's my cat up there, but yeah, they 1 out of every 10, I think.
Yeah, and that's I would say like one of the part of the recipe that you have as a live performer is how much of this do we want to come out and just hit the audience with versus going through the actual craft of live looping. Everything that they're seeing is created on the spot. There's it's deleted afterwards, so every time that they see you, they get a unique performance. And there's something to that, not only within just the performance itself, but the music that you're putting together, which is pretty amazing stuff too. I got to listen to a few of your songs online, and the not that I'm music expert or anything like that, but you got kind of like that Timberlake pitch with a southern twang to it, which is
thank you.
I enjoyed like the let's see, is it Dreamers?
Dreaming
And Neon. So let me ask you this: who put those videos together for you?
That was a video guy I met. Actually, it was pure luck. His name's Daniel. I met him in a worldwide songwriter group on Facebook. And it's worldwide, so anybody could join. It's a lot of people from different countries. And he posted, "Hey, I'm looking to start a portfolio, and I need an artist to do some videos." And I started talking to him, and he lived 11 minutes away from me. So it was like a blessing just out of nowhere. And I worked with him. He's one of the best. He's the best I've ever worked with as far as video goes, and real super, super nice guy. He's out here in the Katy area as well. he's looking to do movies. He wants to direct movies. So he started with music videos and he wants to eventually move to movies. I can't wait to watch his movies because just talking to him, he's a deep guy and he'll say things like, I don't know anything about film. I'm a musician. So he would tell me like, I asked him why he wanted to do movies. And he said, well, because movies have been ruined for me. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, the camera will tilt slightly and I'll say, oh, watch this, something bad's about to happen. And so I don't have that view, that artistic view that way. So it was a real pleasure working with him. I learned a lot.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the videos that they put together. So one of them, I think, was at one of the spots that you regular at. I think it was Neon. Neon was at Wildcatters. Was that right?
Yeah, Neon's at Wildcatters. I also work there part time.
Okay.
That's a Wildcatters is kind of my home now, and yeah, I asked my boss, I said, "Hey, can we do a music video in here?" He said, "Yeah, sure." So came and unlocked it, and we just did the whole thing in about well, it took about 6 to 8 hours, but yeah, we had the video crane inside the bar and everything. It was really cool. It was really
Good for
cool.
them, man. The So just solo versus on the in the operation level, solo versus having a group behind you. Do you run in like hurdles and things like that in terms of scheduling, in terms of just I would imagine that you're wearing quite a bit of hats to go out and find these gigs, go on them, set up all the tuning that's involved in like the instruments and stuff like that. Do you find yourself, wanting more people, or do you feel like you have the operation kind of, tighten it where you want it?
I feel like I have the operation right where I want it. I feel like if I feel like I'm limited. I'm more limited with a loop pedal than if I had a band. Like if I had a band, I could do um, more things musically. But the or I mean more things musically, but from an audience perspective.
Mhm.
But the fact that I do have a looper and that I am solo, I am limited in certain things. But I also feel like I'm more creative than if I would have had a full band too. So and most of the general public doesn't understand looping, or they don't really know what I'm doing. But I say that because it's funny because I'll play a show and all the musicians in the crowd are like, watching me as closely as they can, saying, "Oh my God, I can't believe what he's doing," and everybody else just thinks it's a musical performance. So there is a disconnect between the people who don't understand it. That's why I go through the explanation at the beginning. But even through the explanation, people don't understand it if they're not a musician. So that's the tricky part, trying to get the normal person to understand what I'm doing. And I've been successful at that for the most part. Every once in a while, I'll get somebody that, oh yeah, the backing tracks, or you got to, an auto tune, and I'm like, no, everything's raw, everything's real. And so that's the only disconnect that I see. But the looper allows me to connect even more to a crowd because I can let it, if I want to talk to the crowd, I don't have to look back at a band and say, y'all just keep it going. I can just, not press the stop pedal, and I can talk to the crowd while it's playing, teach them how to sing one of my songs. And then whenever I kick it back in, then the audience can join in. So I feel like I have more artistic freedom with the loop, but I feel like I am limited in a way, but I also have more creative power that way too.
Do you find yourself adding more instruments to the setup, or do you feel like what you have now, you're fine tuning? I saw a video the other day. This girl had full set of drums. She had bass. She had like just several instruments around her that she would pull into her music. Do you find yourself adding more instruments as you go, or is the current kind of set, what you feel like is enough?
Well, I would like to add some more, but that's also a lot of stuff to set up. It's a lot of stuff to haul around too. I do have a pedal on my pedal board that turns my guitar into a bass guitar. So instead of grabbing a bass, I just press the pedal and it's all of a sudden it's a bass. As far as like the drums go, I would love to have like a pad, like a drum pad, so that I can make actual drum noises and loop those in. But I haven't got that. I haven't incorporated that yet. I'm learning piano. I can play a little bit of keyboard. I would really like to incorporate that.
Mhm.
Because a lot of my music that I've released has, keys or a synthesizer in it, and I'm not able to do those sounds live. I experiment with different tones and trying to get close to those sounds. But as far as the actual sound, I'm not able to do that live yet. So I would love to add more instruments. And I do believe that that's in my future. I just haven't yet.
The percussion you typically do on the guitar and through voice, is that right?
Yes, yes. I'll do some beatboxing, or I'll bang on the guitar, make a drum beat. You'd be surprised how many different sounds you can make just by hitting different parts of the guitar. Um, but yeah, so far it's been sufficient, but I would like for it to get even more so. So I'm always practicing, new sounds with my mouth, or new sounds on the guitar to try to make things a little different, because I don't ever want my music to sound the same. I'll play one song and then the next song sounds completely different. And then the next song sounds completely different. And I like having that flexibility. That's what keeps it interesting for a crowd. Like, I played a private party this last Friday, and most of the gigs I play, it's in a loud bar. Everybody's getting drunk. Everybody's yelling. They're talking loud. And my niche is lyrics. I do looping, and that makes me stand out. But my lyrics are what I'm really good at. It's what I've always been good at. And I can't reach as many people. I can't reach their heart if they're all being loud or talking. So I played this private party that had like 60 people there, and they had chairs spread out, and everybody was silent for like an hour and a half. Everybody was dead silent, and I was able to reach so many more people. And those are my favorite kinds of shows. They're very hard to find because the people have to be aware. Hey, don't be on your phone. Don't be talking, because if they're not aware of that, they're going to do it anyway. They're going to conversate with each other. They're not going to give you their full attention. So those are my favorite kind of shows, because you can play a high energy song and then strip it down to right at the next song, play some really, heart wrenching song, and it's dead silent, and it really reaches them. And in my opinion, the reason that there's music is to connect to people, to make them feel something, to make them forget about their problems. Even if it's for only 3 minutes and 20 seconds, that's what music encapsulates to me. That's what it means.
So I've heard your singles. Let me ask, because I don't even know if this is still a thing. Do you have like a full album out there? Is that?
I don't have a full album. I have enough songs to release an album. I just haven't put it together. I did last year. I listen to all these music podcasts, and they all talk about, oh yeah, release a single every month, for a year, release a single every month. And I always heard that for about 2 years. I heard everybody say that, but I never saw anyone actually do it. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to do that. So last year I released a single every month. I released 13 in a year, and it does help. You gain a lot of traction with that. People are like, man, you're always putting out music. But at the same time, I don't feel like that's the right way to go now, because when you do it every month, you don't have the money to put behind it to push it like it really needs to be pushed in order for it to get more exposure. But my philosophy has always been, I'm just going to record and release as much music as I can, because that's what I want to leave this world with. I want to leave them with all these songs. There's a lyric in one of my songs we just recorded last month that says, I'm scared I'll die too young with new songs still trapped inside these lungs. And I feel like I just have to get it out. And whether it, makes it big, or whether it just, is in the local area, I just want the message to be heard. So I'm planning on putting an album out. I just need to get all the songs together and, pay for the distribution and make a album cover, and I could release it, in a month. We just finished a song yesterday in the studio that's a collaboration, and I just love doing collaborations too. It's with another Houston local artist. Her name is Rachel Winters. Killer singer. But yeah, I'm excited about that. I have 2 right now that I haven't released yet, that are done. So I'll have 2 singles out within the next couple months for sure.
That's an interesting concept to do one per month like that. Now it's got to be, I would say that's probably pushes you to have kind of like a timeline for when each one is done. Like
Right.
because I can, if you go, you have, some artists out there that'll go 10 years, that it was a Chinese democracy that started in the mid 90s and then finished in like 2013 or something like that.
Right.
Axl Rose, so I would imagine that it probably helps to have a set timeline and a deadline for, a start to finish like that. And then maybe at the end of the year, pull it all together, release the album, then push it. What's it like? What's it like?
Keeps you accountable.
Go ahead. Say again.
I said it keeps you accountable for sure.
Yeah. What's it like releasing those, and what's typically the pushed on through social media to help get exposure? What's kind of like the ideal situation?
Well, the ideal situation keeps changing. Everybody thinks they know the way to push the single, and then you try that, and you realize that wasn't the way, and then so you have to look for another one. There's a lot of scams, and there's a lot of fake companies in the music business. I've been screwed over many, many times. You pay for these, for them to push it, and they even send you the numbers like it is being pushed, and then you realize those are just fake accounts. Those are bots. So it's very hard to know which direction to go. And if I found that already, I probably would I would have used that. But everybody has a different opinion, and so it's kind of like, well, I don't know what to do. I've done this. I've tried this. I've tried this. I've tried this. So it's just about a trying process of elimination until you find one that really, really works. That's actually, what's the word? Organic. Mm-hmm. Once you find something organic, then it'll catch on like wildfire, but it's all about finding that.
Yeah, just everything I read, it seems like, the money for the artist is done, in those live shows. And then it's also, it's how many people are getting to show up and, pay ticket price. Is that kind of what you're seeing? Is that where you make the bulk of the money from, within your operation? Or do you see some additional revenue coming in from those, singles that you post online?
Both, but the singles, like I'll give you an example. Last year when I released one every month, I made $250 for the whole year. Mm-hmm. That's what the singles brought in. That was just from streaming or something like that. So it doesn't bring in a lot of money at all. Not enough to live on. The bulk of the money I get is from playing shows, and from merch, but there's two types of shows. There's the show where you sell tickets and you go and you play like a 45-minute set, or you play an hour-long set, and there's those, and that's all original music, and people are all at the front, and they're singing along with you. Those are the fun shows. Those are the shows that satisfy your soul. And then there's the other shows, which is like the 3-hour, 4-hour shows, which technically they're supposed to be cover shows. Mm-hmm. But I've always done it different. I'll be on the phone and say, oh yeah, okay, 4 hours. And they'll say, well, it's 80% covers, 20% originals. And I'll show up and I'll do the exact opposite. Mm-hmm. I'll do 80% originals and 20% covers, and nobody complains. Everybody loves it. So I feel like that's a hurdle that most musicians can't jump. They feel like they have to play somebody else's songs. I just refuse to. I'm not going to play a bunch of other people's songs. The whole reason I'm playing is to have that message be heard. So of course I'm going to play my own stuff. But those shows, the 3-4 hour shows, for a 3-hour to 4-hour show, I charge $350 to $400. And that's not selling any merch. That's not including tips. So the bulk of the money is in the long shows. But those shows, they tend to hurt a little bit because you're technically background music, and people are eating dinner, or they're not really paying attention. They're just kind of doing their own thing, and you're providing a background type of entertainment. The other shows, the hour-long shows, it's like you're the center of attention. They're all yelling, and their hands are up, they're clapping with you. But it's harder to do that at like a wine bar or a fancy restaurant, that you're just in the back corner. So the bulk of the money comes from those long shows, but the satisfying comes from the shorter ones that, people are there and they're actually paying attention.
Is that kind of like is that kind of like Rustic? Rustic has those, I want to say those hour long shows, I want to say that they do. That's I don't think they bring in cover bands. I want to say that most of the bands that I've seen there are true to their form. Is that correct or no?
I've played at the Rustic a couple times, and the Rustic. I think it depends on the artist with the
Mhm.
Rustic because when I played there, it's been kind of in the background music. Both times I played there was a 2 hour set. But the bigger artists, of course, everybody's going to come and pay attention to them because they're bigger artists. They're fans of them. But for the people that don't, when you have an artist playing and nobody knows who it is, that's kind of like more in the background. So I've never been there when they had a big artist play. I've only been there to perform whenever I did, and when I did, it was in the background. Um, but it was, I mean, it was a great gig. I mean, you get even though the biggest difference is with the hour long shows that people come to see you play, you have a line of people waiting to talk to you when you get off stage.
Gotcha.
At the background music shows, nobody ever comes up and talks to you, but they still look you up on their phone. They still follow you. They still listen to your music. So technically it's still a win, but it just doesn't, you don't have the people that are like, oh my God, I love what you do. And there's something spiritual about it. And, that song, man, it meant so much to me. I went through something like that. You don't have those types of conversations. But they still look you up. They still listen to your music. So I still consider it a win.
What was it like playing the rodeo?
It was interesting. They came and picked me up in a golf cart, and I didn't have to go through security or wait in line. They kind of just drove around, so it kind of felt like your star treatment. And then when I got there, there was a guy on stage before me, cowboy boots, big buckle, cowboy hat, super country. He was really good too, super country. And I'm looking around, and it's like a sea of cowboy hats, and you're like, man, these are like the real cowboys too. These aren't just like people that wanted to buy one. Like they probably wear this every day. So, and my music is not necessarily country. So I thought to myself, I was like, man, they're going to get something completely different here in a minute. And, but they loved it. They loved what I did. I had people walk by and stop and, just like check it, like listen for a minute. They'd listen to a couple songs and then they'd move on because it was next to a bunch of vendors and it was inside the, NRG Center, and there was only one stage in there. So the music, even though some of them weren't standing in front of you, the music traveled through the whole building. So no matter where you were in the building, you could hear what I was doing, which was really cool. But then after it was over, it was like the golf cart guy showed up, and it was like, all right, get your stuff, let's go. And everything was rushed, and I got back to my car, I put all my stuff away, and I was like, man, I don't even want to go back in. Like, I just want to leave because it was so fast. Everything happened so fast. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Hopefully I get to do that next year. And I didn't even expect to get that gig. I auditioned for it and I was like, yeah, why not? I'm not going to get this, but why not? And they were like, oh yeah, we would love to have you. And so it was kind of like applying for a job that you don't think you're qualified for, and then all of a sudden you get the job. Mm-hmm. So that was a cool feeling. That was a really cool feeling.
Yeah, I think you probably like the cook-off tents, the ones with the 300-400 a crowd where you're a little bit more intimate. You have the whole night to just play your songs in there. Have you been approached by any of the cook-off barbecue tents?
No, I haven't been. I have never played in a tent before. Some of my friends have. I've seen them on Facebook. They've played in the tents, but they haven't approached me though. No.
So the NRG arena, and I went to this past the cook-off for the rodeo. But NRG, is this a center stage that you were in, or was this in a different area?
This was in the NRG Center. So it was it was like a big, huge building, but it wasn't the stadium. It was it was like next to the stadium.
That's got to be surreal, man. I've seen the just being in front of 300-400 plus people playing, and then so you got to do a majority of your own music in that event. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think I played one cover, maybe two covers. That was it.
Okay.
And the rest was all original. Yeah, two covers because I did a version of "Lose Yourself" by Eminem, and then I did "Turn the Page." Those were the two covers that I played, and I like to do that every once in a while just to get to satisfy the people that want to hear something that they've already heard.
Mhm.
But yeah, everything else was original.
So tell me this, and we'll kind of carry out the conversation. What's big picture? What's next steps that you're looking at? People that are watching this. Do you like doing those private parties, or do you want to see more of those? What's big picture within the next couple of years for you?
I love playing private parties. Those are becoming my favorite kind of gigs, just because you can connect so well to those people, and I feel like it has the biggest impact. But I love performing and writing songs. Those are the two best feelings I've ever had, and so I'll definitely still be playing shows, trying to get bigger shows, Like this summer, I'm opening for The Hunger. They're a band that's been around for 30 years. They're a pretty big band, and so I'm excited about that. But yeah, recording music, releasing music, and performing. Whether it's a private party, whether it's a bar, I don't really care. I just want to play. I just want to perform. As far as the other aspect of it is, nowadays you have to grow your social media. You have to do and the musician has to be everybody. They have to be the advertiser, the promoter, the performer, the writer, the marketer, all of them. And that's one area I feel like I'm going to start focusing more on, is growing the social media, creating content, because that's how you're going to reach the masses, is to go that route, even though it's not as fun as creating music. I feel like that's the next step, because I have all these great songs with this great message, but there's no way for the world to hear them unless I go down that road. And so I feel like that's the road that I'm going to go down next.
What kind of content are you thinking about?
Oh, that's even a harder question. That's been going through my head for a couple of weeks now, especially the last couple of weeks. Something that I need to find out what makes me different, and I need to be able to communicate that intentionally and authentically, and have them relate to me on a personal level. Because once they relate to me on a personal level, then they'll be able to hear the message. I've been doing it backwards. I've been trying to get the message out, but if they don't relate to me in any way, then they're not going to hear that message. So they have to relate first. So that's a big brainstorming thing that I'm going through now, is how to reach those people, how to make them feel like life isn't that hard. It's all in how we look at it. It's all in our perspective. And if if it feels hard, change your perspective. That's kind of my message.
Yeah, I like to, how quick are you with writing lyrics?
That comes and goes. If I have to have a song wrote, and I force myself to write, I can do it. I can do it pretty quick. But but most of the time I try not to do that, because it's usually shallower lyrics than what I want to be.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I'll sit down and write a song in 20 minutes, and it'll be completely done. And then some songs take 2 months. So it's all about how much I'm feeling something I'm feeling. The more stronger I feel something, the quicker it comes out. And there's also seasons where I won't write a song for 4 months, and then the very next week I'll write four of them. So it's like it all relates to what I'm going through personally, because I use songwriting as a stress relief. So it's not, whether I play them or not, it has to come out for me to feel better. So anytime I get real stressed out, or I'm broke, or I'm, going through girl problems or something, it's like the song list just keeps adding up and going quick. Like last year, or no, 2 years ago, I wrote 22 songs in 6 weeks. And I was like, no, they can't all be good. There's got to be a couple duds in there. And I went through them. I was like, no, there's not. They're all up to par of where I would like them to be. And then I didn't write a song for 6 months after that. And I was just like, wow. So it's like, it's when the season comes, I know now to just jump on it and take advantage of it, because it won't last for very long. It's the same way with inspiration. When inspiration comes, you have to grab it right when it comes and take advantage of it. Otherwise, it's going to leave before you even knew it was there.
Do you find yourself writing like maybe an event happening, or you find yourself writing lyrics first before melody and beat and all that stuff come into play?
I've done both. I've done both ways. When I first started writing, I wrote the music. I always wrote the music first, and then I would write lyrics to it. Now, in the last year, I've wrote the lyrics first. But when I write lyrics first, I always have a melody in my head. I'll be able to sing it, and just don't know what the music is yet. And then so I'll sing it. I'll have a melody line, and then I'll just pick up the guitar and kind of figure out, what notes it is, and or I'll be playing a riff, and I'll have like a stack of 4 or 5 songs lyrically that I've wrote that have no music, and I'll play the new riff, and I'll be like, okay, which one fits? Which one fits best in this? But yeah, lyrics have been pouring out of me, especially lately. And it always has a melody with it, but I've been writing lyrics first. It seems to be a different, when you write lyrics first, it seems to be more about the lyrics. But when you write the music first, it seems to be more about the beat or more about the way that, you groove to it. So I do it both ways, but lyrics first is kind of my new favorite thing.
Yeah, so probably something that pops out like a phrase, like phrasing or something like that that comes in, and then because that's I would imagine it's kind of difficult to have that phrasing, then go to melody, then go to beat. Because typically
Right.
that beat is basically the foundation of the song in some cases.
Mhm.
So you find yourself going both directions in terms of writing.
Both directions. Yeah, it'll be a little phrase. Like I'll be at work and somebody will say something. Like like a couple weeks ago, one of the bartenders told me, "Oh yeah, I'm just too good at being me." And I
Mhm.
was like, "Ooh!" So I ran, wrote it down. I was like, "I'm just too good at being me." I don't know how I'm gonna sing it yet, but that's probably the next one that I'm writing because it's been in my head the whole time. So it's that little phrase, and then take that little phrase and write around it. Um, and like a song I have out called Magic.
Mhm.
When I was listening to the music, I was like, "Ooh, the word it feels like magic." It's the only thing I had, and I was like, "It feels like magic," and I wrote the whole song around that. And I was like, and so I kind of took a complete opposite view. So there's not really one way to write a song. I've tried it a million different ways, but I think that's what makes it so much fun is because there's not a right way or a wrong way to do it. It's just the finished product is what you can either be happy with or you just throw it away and say, yeah, nobody's going to hear me play this, and I love that aspect about it because it's always changing.
Kind of like a jigsaw puzzle that doesn't have a picture on it yet. So you have the pieces.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. That's a good way to say that. I'm going to have to use that.
there you go. I'm
I'll
going to
give you
watch out
credit.
for
I'll give you credit.
it. Well, sir, it is Monday the 10th. I'm gonna have this up here pretty quickly. So what shows do you have coming up? What where people need to go to see you?
I am playing this Friday. It's the April 14th at Darwin's Pub, and that's in the Heights area in Houston. It's a 2 hour show. That'll be a really good one, and it's a bar scene kind of thing. And then I'm playing Cinco de Mayo on May 5th. I'm playing here at Wildcatter, and May 18th I'm playing at Wildcatter again. So that's a Thursday. So it's a longer set. Um, May 5th is a shorter set, but there'll probably be more people there on the May 5th show. And then in June, I'll be opening for The Hunger, which is at BFE Rock Club, which
Okay.
is over in the Cypress, North Houston area. Great venue, great venue. And then I'll be playing there again the following month on the 8th with Dead Set Red, one of my favorite bands to play with. I love all the guys in the band. They're great and really underrated rock band in the Houston area called Dead Set Red. And then I'll be constantly posting and about the new shows because I'm sure I'm going to get a ton more before then. So I'll be constantly posting on Facebook of where I'm playing, when I'm playing. But yeah, I would love to see I'd love to see as many people as I can. Of course, that's what we always hope for. But got to roll with the punches.
I guess so. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You're on
Mm-hmm.
all the major social media sites.
All the majors, even on Spotify. I haven't uploaded it yet, but I'll have my dates on Spotify of when I'm playing and where I'm playing
Yeah.
as well.
And it's DougWestcott.com. Is that correct?
The website's under construction right now. So the main thing I would do is I would go to Facebook because
Facebook,
the website's still under construction. But I have a press kit as well, which is www.artistecard.com/Doug Westcott. But that's usually for promoters and things like that. But Facebook would be the most accurate information.
Okay. I'll have everything posted up here for you. Doug,
Awesome.
it's always a pleasure getting to know local Houston talent, man. It's the music that you have is you put some amazing stuff together, and really appreciate you having you on and getting to know you a little bit more. Me and the wife will be out at one of those events. I don't know which one, but we're going to come see you, and look forward to seeing you do bigger and better things, and keep us in touch.
Will do, man. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate that.
Doug, thanks again.
Gotta make a move, I keep standing in place. My feet get stuck to the floor these days. Gotta pick them up cause it's time to move. And I gotta go get these dreams. And I ain't sorry, no, no, if you get bothered with what I do. Cause I'm a one-man band and I'm just trying to make a difference. Are you listening to the lyrics that I'm spitting good? Tell me, can you feel me? And are we on the same page? Cause we all cooped up in the world these days. Everybody's scared to go outside, but you gotta go get your dreams. And don't be sorry, no, when they get bothered, cause they will, but they can't harm you, no, so it don't matter, shake the ladder, you gotta move, yeah, you gotta move, and ain't nobody gonna do it for you, you gotta move, handle yourself, ain't nobody gonna hand out help, put the work in, change the rules, and don't stop pushing till you raise the roof, you gotta move, you can't sit still, everybody wait and show them how you feel. Put the work in, excel no less. You can get to where you're going if you're living in your head. Make a move. Woo-hoo. So get up and get your head in the game. Cause all of your attention's on the things that you hate. Switch it up, refocus, it could change your game. And yeah, we all need to hear this, man. So listen up, head up. Listen to the chatter, don't spend too long on the things that don't matter, hurry up, you know we got a limited time, you know it's not what we take, it's what we leave behind, so I'm up early before the sunrise, and I'm trying to be the person that I visualize, I'm fed up, only living half my size, I'ma take it to the limit till I run out of sky, what up, it's what my attitude's like, and I'm not asking permission this time, I'm laced up, I'm sick of always waiting in line, you know I'm standing at the front, I ain't leaving this time, like what up, sorry, no, straight up.